Welcome to the Your Desired Success Foundation Mastermind. And the foundation of what we are all about is do unto others as you would have done unto you, which is the golden rule. Now, when we're talking about the power of a mastermind, Napoleon Hill, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich, as well as other successful books from around the world, having interviews with different people of success, he said that the principles are, and it's the principle through which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, the influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. So you can see the power of that, especially with us coming together today to communicate. Now, we all know our number when we go through the mastermind principles, which is coming up. So, Lauren, if you'd like to start.
The purpose of the mastermind is to share our value and connect with like-minded people in order to create wealth in all areas of our lives.
Maya?
To inspire and challenge each other to reach and achieve goals.
Each member is committed to their own success, as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
Celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during our meetings.
We are real and authentic. This is no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces. One mind, one soul, one love. Beautiful.
Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll just go around quickly and just touch base in regards to share your name, and we'll keep it to the numbers that we have so it flows easier. Share your name, where you're calling in from, and one goal that you want to be kept accountable for within this to the next week, the next mastermind a week from now. So your name, where you're calling in from, and the one goal that you want to be kept accountable for. Lauren.
I'm Lauren. I live in Boddington, which is a small country town south of Perth. And my one goal is to keep exercising every day this week because I've just started again. So.
Good work. Maya?
Sorry, I don't know. I think I was like, I don't know if my internet was doing something weird, but here I am. Oh, that's super dirty. Hold on 1 second. So I'm Maya. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And the one task I want to be held accountable for is I need to schedule 10 more calls this week. So just getting that accomplished.
Yeah, awesome. Good work. Vatala?
Hi, my name is Vatala Yalimaiwai. I'm from Hawaii. I'm calling in from Hilo, Hawaii. And my one goal this week is to continue to do my affirmations daily. Some days I skip it and it's not good. So that would be my main goal this week, to continue my affirmations daily.
Awesome. Cool. So my name's Martin from Perth, Western Australia. And my one accountability goal is just to be kind to myself through this grieving process and healing process, which is often a challenge for me. So to stop doing what I love to do. So just to feel into it. Yeah, that's the big thing for me at the moment.
Hi everyone, I'm Glenn and I'm from Perth, also in Western Australia, northern suburbs. My one goal for this week is pretty similar to Martin's. It was raised yesterday. I think Corey put a post up, is just to look after myself. We've got a lot going on all sorts of fronts, business, home, family, and it's I lost my, excuse the language, shit yesterday, but it's all calmed down now. So just to watch myself this week, really, what I'm doing, take note of where I'm at.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing, everyone. So today's topic came up to me whilst I was thinking about a few things this morning, and one of the areas that I was actually that came to my mind was your biggest area of impact. So this as it came to me, I thought, okay, so what does that mean to me? Well, not only from a point of reflection in my life, it's in your biggest area of impact, or in this case, my biggest area of impact, but what would I then share with people out in society around where I'd advise them and support them and give them my experience to help them move forward? So where I'm going with this is that through our lives, we've all had experiences. We've all got to where we are today, and we are the best version of ourselves right now in this moment, whether we see it or we don't. And there's different areas, and some of you are coaches, some of you have no doubt been coached. You've maybe watched videos on YouTube from Simon Sinek, Bob Proctor, all these different incredible mentors and people who, in a way, we look up to. Who teach us, who educate us, who inspire us, and so on. And for me, when I was thinking around this topic, it took me really right back to what's been the biggest thing that's helped me connect with myself. And for me personally, when I think about your biggest area of impact, it's core values for me. So I wasn't really too much aware of core values when I was going through certainly my teens and my 20s, but really it started to become aware of them more so in my 30s, and not in my 40s yet, but I'm almost knocking on that door. And the thing is because I remember always my biggest and highest value was always health. And it was just that I did all sports, and it was the gym, and it was what I was eating, and that's pretty much everyone who knew me would have said that's your number one value if it was to have been assessed back then. But I wasn't even aware of it. It was just something that I loved, something that I did. And in a way, I did it so aggressively is the only word that's coming up for me right now. I was just so committed, and that's all that I could see, that a lot of the other things about me and a lot of the other value that I had was pushed away because it was just so strong, the health value. So really for me, with what came up this morning whilst I was thinking about it, was if you were to actually think about this from your own side, so your biggest area of impact, and then what would be your biggest area of impact and why would it be there? So when I'm talking to people and I'm saying around my core values and getting clear, and I usually say top 5, because what I've found with your top 5 is based on the world we live in today with social media, we're able to then share it. We've got things to talk about each day. So, when I think around my top 5 values, it's love, and that's love for humanity, love for the world, love for the earth, love for self, adventure, authenticity. I've been seeing if I've shifted a few, but then I've got so love, adventure, authenticity, and then I've forgotten the other 2 now. My head's full of jam. But those are the top 3 that come up straight away. So when I'm thinking around, health is probably creeping back into my top 5. It actually fell out quite quickly. But really, those have had the biggest impact on me. And if I was to talk to somebody and then saying, where should I start? What would you recommend be the starting point for me? I'd say, get clear on your core values. What excites you? What ignites you? What is it that you want to do every single day? How do you want to feel every single day? Where do you want to be every single day? And even with one of the ladies who was a great, I call her my spiritual mentor, I remember her saying to me, how do you feel when you're doing your work? And I'm like, oh, just amazing. I love connecting with people. I love growing. I love learning from others. I love sharing my experiences. And she said, and you do it, you spend a lot of time doing it, don't you? And I'm saying, yeah, I just love being in work. She said, how do you feel when you're walking along the beach on the edge of the ocean? I'm like, oh, that's my mindfulness. That's a connection. That's like healing myself. And she went, well, find a balance, because you can't just do the work all the time. And that's where really I started connecting on a deeper level with the core values and going, well, what is it that aligns with me? Who am I? How do I express myself? How do I connect with myself? So that's where I would always advise somebody look and start with themselves from that angle. So that point of your biggest area of impact. So who would like to go now and share what they feel when they reflect on their past to where they are today? What has been their biggest area of impact and why? I know it's pretty deep.
I'll jump in there, since everyone seems to be waiting.
Beast before all the beauty, Glenn, that's what it is.
I know, well, it's the age as well. I'm supposed to be the most senior person on this call today. I feel quite privileged, actually. Sorry if I raised the age average somewhat, but there you go. When you started then about the biggest area of impact, I look at it as the impact that I have on my family, my wife, and particularly my kids. Charlotte's 29. Nick will be 27 in a few weeks' time. And I look at them now and I go, actually, we did a pretty good job. My daughter works for me. My son lives down near Lawrence. He lives down in Bunbury, works at the post office. But he's a happy kid. And he's like me at that age. Well, mind you, me at that age, I had a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. But it's a little bit different. But I look back to, my values, I suppose. I didn't think too much about them when I was back in my 20s and 30s, or even earlier than that. I was just more about having fun, just enjoying myself, and being sort of true to who I was. A very strong, valued sort of upbringing. My father was born just sort of pre-Second World War, and had a pretty tough upbringing. And then, it was just sort of, just instilled the values in us of being true to yourself, enjoy as much as you can, be kind to people, be nice to people, don't do anything wrong, whatever else. It was all those sort of old-fashioned values, which I think are instilled in me, and that's what's come through now into the kids. It wasn't really until, so I spent a long time living in England, originally from sort of Western Australia. And I came back here just before I turned 40. And then things changed for us. It was bringing the family back here. And I was at home for about 6 months. And I think I got on the family's nerves a little bit because I was around all the time when I hadn't been for such a long time. But it was great because I suddenly realised myself, before we came back, I wasn't that fun guy anymore. The kids bought me some slippers with the Mr. Grumpy slippers. And I didn't wear them for 6 months. They hid under the bed because I was actually thought, I can't wear those. What do my kids really think about me? And that was probably one of the triggers to us coming back here to Western Australia. Things were tough for a little while, but, to me now it's more of, where I'm going, I'm enjoying the journey that I'm on. But yes, I have to have that. I enjoy getting on these calls. I enjoy meeting people. Martin knows me. I now become like a serial networker and going out and meeting people. But then I have to, like I did yesterday, pull myself up and go, reflect. Where am I? What am I doing? Where am I going to go from here? And a lot of that is also my sort of health journey, with a few things over the last 5 or 10 years. I discovered that I need to do that. Otherwise, I'm not going to be here as long as I'd hope. And so I just have to take that time out and reflect it. So it's quite a timely post that I picked up yesterday from Corey. And, today just jumping on this call is fantastic. Every time I jump into a call without planning it, these things come up and I love it. So, yeah. So, yeah, I suppose that's, that's where I'm at. But my biggest thing is to enjoy myself and be true to who I feel I am and the family, and reflect on that all the time at the moment, rather than just me.
So who feels like going next? Come on, ladies.
I'll go. So my parents they already passed away, so it's just like us 5 siblings. But growing up, we didn't grow up rich or anything, and we were always in church growing up. And it wasn't until I was actually an adult that I actually really invited God in my life, and from then, that's when I began to want to be a better person. Because before that, I made a lot of mistakes, growing up, party, whatever. But I've learned so much from just being in God's word, and how my life is being transformed through that, and how I'm even a bigger impact to my siblings. I was able to purchase a house last year, and this year my other 2 siblings, they finally purchased their own homes too. So I praise God that I'm still able to kind of influence them on the right path, even though we're all adults already now, right? But we're still, keeping each other close and helping each other, prosper in life. And right now that I'm part of the Noble Goldman team, I should say, I'm really grateful for that, because it's actually going to help me to even further my my walk in throughout life in general, and just becoming a better person, so that way I can still be that inspiration, not only to my siblings but to other people as well, even my church family and my coworkers. Yeah, and so I'm definitely in a better place right now, and for me that takes a lot of peace, I should say, just being at peace with God and how my life is turning out, and how my life is going to be in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And if somebody, if you were to, like, let's say, do a post on social media, let's just say you were going to do something like that, and share your experience, what would be the first thing that you would say to people, to say, look, from my experience in life, this is where I'd advise people, look, if you're feeling open to looking in this area, to start here. Does that make sense?
God, that's what I would recommend. That's what I would really encourage people to just seek God, even if that means praying or meditation, but mainly get into God's word. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I actually I had to have some work done on my vehicle, and I was sat in the waiting room. It was going to take like 5 hours, and the owner of the workshop was like, "You're never going to stay here for 5 hours." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's all right." I said, "Well, my mate's going to pick me up in about 3.5." So, but as it happened, and this is why I believe in just letting go and just trusting everything's always perfect, that there was a guy that was also who had driven up from a place called Margaret River, which is 2.5, 3 hours away. Well, 3 hours away, pretty much. And he was having his work on his car done, and we just ended up talking about something. And next thing, he came over from the other side of the room, sat on the same couch, and we're talking about life. And it was a real conversation. It wasn't surface stuff about the weather and all that. It was a real deep conversation. And he turns out he was a Jehovah's Witness. And we were getting into some really good, deep conversation, and he opened my mind to a lot of things. I mean, I was brought up a Catholic, and I've shifted my belief around God based on that. I believe God is everything, and God's love and nature, and it doesn't matter what what our own belief system is about, what God is to us. It's about us really all being together and loving each other as for who we are and loving the earth and the world and so on. But what I was truly amazed was that as the conversation was in flow, his ability, it was obviously an app, but his ability to go onto his phone and go into different areas and scroll through and then just highlight an area and say, read that. What does that mean to you? Based on the conversation we were having was just incredible, because it really made me think about where I'm at and what was going on in my life, especially with the passing of Bessie then. But how this man came into my life to share these messages with me, and to share this understanding, irrelevant of my upbringing was, oh, Jehovah's Witness comes knocking on the door, you just ignore the door, you know. That's just the way that it was.
Yeah.
And even though I was brought up Catholic, it was just I can't think of the right word at the moment, but and. So to actually be able to sit next to somebody and not have that for the first time towards somebody who's, because at the end of the day, a human being, that's it. It's a human being. It's irrelevant of what religion. When he said, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I didn't have that thing of, oh God, I need to get on the other couch away now from him. You know, it was like totally open and going, oh, it doesn't make a difference to me what your religion is. I'm just enjoying the conversation and the connection that we've got. And really expanded to the point where he said, you know, when you go off traveling at the end of the year, you come down towards Margaret River, let me know. I'd love to just connect with you and hang out and just have a conversation. And it was just so nice in that moment. And so I relate with what you're saying there, Vitala, in regards to find what it feels to you. And really it comes back to like that level of faith. When we say faith, it's often connected with religion, but it's not necessarily always about religion. It's about what faith is to us, what we find faith in. And if that is in nature or meditation or within going to God or going to church or whatever it may be, I think it's beautiful that you brought that into the conversation. So thank you. Maya and Lauren, you've had a bit longer to think about a few things now.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I was thinking about the question. I don't know. Nothing was really coming up for me because I don't know if I'm just overthinking or not thinking hard enough. But in the God conversation, it's interesting to me here recently. Like, I went to my dad's for Houston. I went to Houston to my dad's. He bought a house and he was of course trying to get everything together for it, and he was bringing out old pictures of me, of course, because I'm his only child, so you know I was all up on the wall. And there was this picture of me, and I think it was like 2005 or something, I don't know, and it was a school picture, but I had and I remember my mom like, I don't know why you put all of that fake jewelry on while you were in that picture. Anyway, so I had all these rings on and I had like 5 bracelets, and I had this one bracelet that said Jesus loves me on it. And here recently, I went to the park and I was about to read a book, and something told me to play like a song that I listened to when I was a kid. Because I grew up Christian, right? And I was always in the deep South with it. So it's like really serious. But this song just like hit me, right? And I just started to cry just immensely. I don't know. I just felt like I had been disconnected from, you know, who I was as a child or the faith that I, you know, acquired. And I don't know, I just felt like I was kind of drifting. So in saying all that, you know, I was listening to some more music and I felt a little bit better. And one of my business, I guess she's a friend, you know, she's a consultant as well. So I guess she's a friend. But she was, you know, giving me some advice. I was asking her about some things I should be doing to better, you know, my business and all that. And she was telling me to read Neville Goddard. And I was like, okay, you know, and I have like the Power of Imagination. So it's like all of his books or a lot of his books in one book. And she told me to read Feeling is a Secret and something else. So I was reading, you know, Feeling is a Secret. And I had never read Neville Goddard. Like, I know people that talk about him and of course speak highly of him. So I got the book. But I read it and I I felt so much more connected to what he was saying because of what I'm learning now being what he spoke about, but also taking parts of the Bible from it. Like what I learned as a child, putting that into, what I teach people about their mindset and stuff like that, connecting those two. I don't know, it was just very interesting. And it made me feel a lot better about what I do. I don't know, I just felt like maybe I was becoming a little, I don't know, it's becoming of the world. I don't know. But I find it very, very reassuring to learn about, what I want to teach people about, and it also be connected to the Bible or connected to God or certain scriptures. So yeah, I thought that was good to bring up in this conversation. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And have you listened to much of Jim Rohn?
No, I feel like his name's familiar though.
Yeah, Jim Rohn often referred to the Bible. I would say, I'm not well educated from a point of in the Bible, but there's a lot of stories there that are relatable into society, and we can certainly help people understand on a deeper scale. Yeah. So, do you find that Bob's teachings cover anything like that, or not?
No, Bob's teachings are more just in the sense of God being the creator and we being creative beings made to create, given creative faculties to create, but not any deeper than that, really. It just comes from, and I remember, and it's funny, I remember one of his one of the first videos I watched, he was talking and he said, I didn't feel like I was lucky. I didn't feel like there were some, I think the word he used was precocious, precocious God. I don't know. I can't say the word. I don't know what word it was, but I don't know. I felt like I knew the definition of it. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I was like, I don't know. I was like, what is he saying? But like I said, I of course listened to more of his stuff and all that, but no, he just really talks about God being the creator. Like that's the only sense that he speaks about it in. So, and that's a part of it as well. Like I felt like I might have been disconnecting, and I feel like I'm more of a spiritual person now rather than religious. I feel like it feels better to me. But I do like that it kind of connected to what I knew as a kid or what I grew up with. Neville Goddard, of course, connecting what I'm learning and what I'm teaching others with what I learned as a child. But yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
I'm probably a bit like Glenn, that I'd say family is probably my biggest area of impact, and probably most of my core values are around my kids and trying to teach them to be the best they can be and instill things in them that I maybe feel that I didn't have. Nothing against my parents or anything, but I know one of my weaknesses has always been self-confidence. So for me, that's probably one of the biggest things I try and influence with my kids is, from simple things like from a young age, having the courage to go and, if you want a lolly from the canteen or something like that, to go and do that and not have to rely on somebody else to be the one asking for you, and just, trying to slowly impact them with that. And like, I think I mentioned it once before, but at night time we sit around the table and everyone says something nice to someone else, even if you've had the worst day or you don't like one of your siblings in that, that day, just trying to make them realize that even if at that moment you're not exactly happy, you can still find something good about someone else. And like with the boy, like the boys, I've got a couple, one teenager and one sort of tween, and trying to show them that, there are people going to come into your life that maybe don't suit you, and you don't, you do clash with, but they're going to be there. So you've got to be the one to rise above it and learn how to deal with it, you know, and just pick one good thing that you can focus on. And that can be your one good thing. And then as soon as you see one good thing, you might see a second good thing. And so, yeah, the kids are probably my biggest area of impact at the moment, I'd say. And community's another one for me. I really am quite community focused, and I guess I do instill that on my kids as well, with getting involved in things and not just doing things for yourself, but giving back and things like that. So.
Awesome. Yeah, great share. I absolutely love that, Lauren, when you say around that we get together and we say one thing that we're grateful for, or what's gone well in the day and what we've learned from, especially as kids. I mean, we were always told to get away from the TV and get up on the table and sit around together, but I can't really remember anything in particular like that that's significant. But I do remember that we had to be up on the table, and then we had to ask if we wanted to be excused. So it's funny how, I mean, I'm about to turn 40, and I know I don't look like I am, but I am. But it's funny how we remember these things, and I do feel that, like you were saying before, Myra, as well, that it's not religion, it's spirituality, and there is a difference between the two. And I feel that the level of consciousness that's taking place right now, in particular, where I believe, and like attracts like, as we know, so I see a lot of it around me. Therefore, what I'm witnessing is a lot of people are more open, and they're actually shifting the way that they may have been brought up. So it's like, this stops here. This stops with me. I am not going to keep this generational thing continuing to happen where, in all fairness, we're just existing rather than living and being. So, and it's no disrespect to, you know, parents, grandparents, generations before. I was a part of a movement called Man Enough, which is all about men speaking up about mental health. So, and a few of the guys that I went and were around, and them sharing their stories, you know, some of the generational stuff that had happened and become part of the culture was based on a judgment in society. It was horrific, and it shouldn't be happening, but it was just part of the upbringing. And because, has anybody seen the movie The Shack with Sam Worthington? The Shack. Oh, it's amazing. The Shack, yeah, SHACK. Like, think of a shack out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, talk about it's all about forgiveness. It's just an incredible movie. But without giving anything away, in there, his father, and this truly isn't giving it away because there's just so many beautiful moments. Have you seen it, Glenn?
No, it rings a bell.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to think now.
I've referred to it quite a few times, but
yeah.
In one of them, like, there's a part where there's a judgment thing going on, and he says, should this person be judged? And it was a guy hitting his son, and he's like, yeah, he shouldn't be doing that. And then he said, well, should this person be judged? It's like, yeah. And he said, well, that's actually the son of the father. And now that's the father of his son now. So because it had happened, that's all that they knew. And it was that continuing effect in what I would call unconscious behavior. Mm. So it's funny how, like, these things happen. But when you go back to what Lauren was saying before, I feel that's the start of the shift, especially when we're looking at the young generation now, where we can be making those, but it's what are we doing for the younger generation to help them create that change, generational change. So I applaud you for that, Lauren. I really do. I think it's amazing. So thank you. Is there anything coming up for anybody that they want to share on what's come up so far?
Just from what you just said, that's why it's so important to me to understand what I'm teaching, like paradigms and subconscious, because that's literally what a paradigm is. Like, it's so powerful because it's unconscious. Like, it's not something that we deliberately think about or generations think about. And I told this story. I spoke at an event on Saturday for my grandma's church. And I spoke about how I would be with my grandma over the summer and she would be making a cake. And I would ask her, why she did something. She was like, well, my grandma, did it. My grandma showed me how to do this. And I do the same thing. And then people ask me, why do you do that? I don't know. Like, my grandma she mixes like a tablespoon of vinegar and a tablespoon of baking soda in her red velvet cake. I have no idea why she does it. I don't know what it's supposed to do for the cake, but she does it. So I do it, right? So even in that sense, I have no idea what, why, but that's what she taught me, right? And that's what I've been doing. And, that's something that's, small and it's a cake. But if you think about, behaviors and habits, like it's not even something that we're, consciously taught. Like, my grandma taught me how to do this. It's just in the conditioning, right? It's just what we do until someone notices it, right? Until you have that generation or that person that really stops and becomes aware, like me. Like, I'm that person now. Like, oh wait, hold on. We don't actually have to. I don't have to get the same diseases you guys had, right? I don't have to eat the same foods. Like, I can make a change and then literally change the lineage of, everybody coming after me. So just that aspect of why it's so important to me to speak to young people about like self-image and the subconscious and paradigms and, mindset, because it's 95% mindset, right? So just that the connection to what I've seen or what my parents do or what my grandparents do that I still do. Right, that I have from just, doing, because she said you put a tablespoon in, you mix it up, you let it sizzle a little bit, and then you put it in there. And that's just it. There's no explanation for it. My grandma said so. So yeah.
Do you know what? You made me realize, I remember rather, I'm sure it was Bob who had shared this, that it was someone anyway, and they said that they got the leg of ham and they always chopped a chunk off the end, and they didn't know, and his partner had said, why are you doing that? Why are you getting rid of this? Like, this is what you have to do. It's like, but we don't. It's like, yeah, but my grandma always did it. And when I asked the parents, and they're like, I don't know why. So they eventually got to grandma and said, why did you do it? Why did you always cut a chunk of the ham off? I said, oh, because it wouldn't fit in my oven. So it was the fact that it wouldn't fit in the oven, that's why she did it. But it's because of them seeing it, they just thought you had to cut the end off. So it's funny, isn't it?
Because it's always been done that way, so therefore we have to do it. Yeah.
But it was all down to the size of the oven. And it's interesting how we pick up on these things. And like you say, they're around paradigms and so on, Maya, and I think it's amazing. I actually think it really is amazing, and the more people of us coming together and sharing this, and I've got a friend of mine who's very much in the coaching space and does magnificent work, but he also has a level of resistance to others being seen in that space, and it's really interesting because my attitude to it has always been, okay, just so I'm clear, do you get massive amounts of value from helping others? I'm like, yeah. I said, so you want to really go out there and share your wisdom and help people move forward, or share your education, share your understanding, share your beliefs, share your experiences. I'm like, yeah. I said, okay, great. So, and you're happy that people get value from that, yeah. So that's what I love to do. And if we came together, we could help more people. And the thing is that your experiences and what you've gone through and what you teach, it doesn't resonate with everybody. But when we come together, we are stronger. We're able to connect with more people. And somebody who's coming to listen to you might get far more value from listening to Vitala. Came for this, but whoa, I didn't expect to get that. Like when I said I went to get this gear thing fitted on my car, I got far more value sat in the waiting room. I've not even used the gear thing on my car yet. But the value I got from being there and being with this guy, Simon, And then this old boy came in and we were talking to him about traveling around Australia, which is one of my biggest goals that's happening at the end of this year. Like the value I got from there, which was unexpected. I just thought I was going to do some work while I was sat there. It's just, that's why I feel like the importance of an open mind, us coming together, us sharing our experiences, us seeing how not only we can help others, but we can help self, because the more we grow, the more we're able to help more people around the world. And that to me is, for me, it shows where people are when, if their focus is to help people, how are you doing it to collaborate and help self to then help more? Or is it just tunnel vision? No, I'm fine on my own, and that's fine. But at the same time, but pretty much like when we're talking around more around like when you said about God, Vitala, and what God means to you and how it's impacted your life and your family and the community that you've got there. You look and go, people are open to that. They get what they need, and together, I'm sure when you go to, do you go to church? Yep. I'm sure when you go to church, you feel incredible because you're around like-minded people who are all embracing that faith, who are all sharing it from that place of love, supporting each other. Would that be right?
Yes. So I had my mute on.
That's okay. And that's what I feel is just so important, and why this the mastermind process of what we do can be whatever it needs to be in that moment. You know, like we come on with a topic. I mean, this call right now is global. It's for public. It's not business related, because as I've always said, that your business is a byproduct of you. The service you provide, the value you provide. I'd rather have relationships than just something that's cold, where I don't speak to people and they just come through and then there's money in the bank and I go, that's great, but what about my relationships? What about the connections? What about the conversation? What about me learning from other people? What about the stories? That's why I love listening to Jim Rohn, because it's one of the things he was talking today about was all around the connection, and it's kind of like where you may have heard the saying, facts tell, stories sell. He's talking around like people majority of time choose to make decisions emotionally. So how are we connecting with people? How are we actually having these conversations with people when it's like most people, they just want to get the result, but they don't want to spend the time to build the relationship. They don't want to spend the time to get to know the people who are around them. And it's interesting how I meet a lot of people that are doing personal development and in that space, but it's like in this ear and out that ear. It's as if I've got to get through this book as fast as I can. I've got to get through this audio as fast as I can. I'll tell you right now, Think and Grow Rich, I was up to page 178 for probably about 3 months, because I was processing so much of what I had learned before and going through it. And then last weekend, I got past the section that I was stopped at, which was all around the 30, I'll tell you what it was all around. It was the 30 major causes of failure. And I got to that, and I just, something was stopping me from going to that point, because I needed to do whatever it was beforehand, before I went into it. And then the moment that I sat down and I started reading through the 30 things of failure, I was like, whoa, this is deep. Because I just needed to be ready to go into that and go through it, and then start looking in my life where they've been. And I tell you what, they really are deep, because we connect with at least one of them, if not the majority of them, based on our past, which was, unfortunately for a lot of us, is unconscious behavior.
I have to go back and read that book now. Thanks for that.
I flashed through it the first time I ever read it.
Yeah, same here.
But now I'm going back. Part of me is going so far, and then I'm going back. Because there's just other things that are calling me back there. And you know, when I mentioned about faith, one on my website, I'd got faith, and my best mate said to me, "Oh, no, get rid of faith. It's too religious." And I was like, "Well, that's your perception of it. But if you actually read it, it's nothing to do with religion." And it's like, that's the thing. You've automatically put a label on it. So it's interesting to find out where people are at. And like he's read the Bible, he's read the Quran, he's read it all. He's not a religious person per se, but at the same time, he put a label on and said, "Oh, no, I'd be put off by that." I go, "Well, you're maybe not the right person that I want to be working with then and supporting."
Just what you're saying there about labels and perception, and that brings up a lot for me, being considerably older than you, Martin, and having the upbringing that I had. And, you know, my father's still kicking. He's kicking, screaming and laughing at the same time. He's 85. And he still has these perceptions of, he's in hospital at the moment, but he's fine. He's coming out probably on Thursday. Or was that tomorrow? But I go in there and he talks about these certain nurses of certain race and certain, well, I go, "Dad, no, God, no, you can't." And the poor chap next to him, in the ward, in the shared room, is Austrian. And Dad, being sort of those war years, he brings up these things, and I was going, "Look, hang on a minute. No, look, just need to think about other things." But 10, 15 years ago, that would have been me as well. And, you know, and these sort of perceptions that we have of just the surface of what someone says and what someone does and how you see it, without thinking about what's caused them to think like that. Where did that come from? It's not their fault. It's something that has been brought into their head, or, you know, it's from their father or their grandfather, or, you know, the beef joint was too big to go in the oven, so that's what they were told, you know, and this sort of thing. So that's what I'm sort of trying to get. There's so much coming up for me at the moment. Trying to get through my head at the moment. When I'm having a bad day driving down the freeway and someone cuts me up, he's got a reason for that. Maybe he just wants to be in front, or maybe he's running for a meeting or an interview because he hasn't had a job for 6 months and he needs to get there on time, or he's just anxious, or whatever else. The fact that he's pulled in front of me without indicating has got nothing to do with it. He doesn't see that. So there's a lot of stuff coming up for me. And just go back to when I think I first met you, Martin, about 5 or 6 years ago. I said to him, you know, I could have done with this earlier. I really could have done with this personal development space and where I was. And you said to me then, "Look, it didn't happen for me because it wasn't needed at that time." So now I'm just trying to, you know, get into that space. And I got a lot to do. I'm 54 years old, but, you know, I bank on being here for at least older than my father, so another 30 plus years. And, you know, another generations of our family to come. And I'm just really looking forward to getting hold of grandkids. Just going, "This is what you need to do," you know. And my daughter sees that coming. So does my son. That's probably why they're avoiding having kids at the moment. But you know, I just you know, really see things like that. And yeah, and when I think, my head's all jumbled at the moment of where I'm at. There's so much coming up on what you were saying there, Martin, about, you know, reading books. And I've got no time to read books, and now I read books 2 or 3 times, or I jump back into a certain section, or I just flick through a book and go, "That looks about right what I need at the moment," and read that particular couple of chapters or something else like that. Mutual friend of ours, like Tony, lent me a book, and I read that on holiday, but I'm going to need to read it again because there's just so much coming up. That's a Simon Sinek book. But yeah, and I just thought, no, my perception of self-help and personal development 5, 10 years ago was like, "I don't need that. I'm perfect, you know, I've got this far, don't need all this stuff at all." And now I see people around that you just want to help them without preaching or whatever, whichever way it may be, and, you know, what's caused them to get there, and you know, what can be done to stop those 14, 15-year-old kids acting and behaving the way that they are. Where some other kids that I meet, you know, my nieces and nephews, are absolute diamond kids. Maybe we're just lucky in the side of the family, I don't know. But and then you see others that are complete tearaways. But where did that come from? you know, and where do they go? And that's a whole nother subject. You know, society today, you know, the attitude, social media, the behaviour, the schools, whatever else. It's, yeah, haven't got time for that one today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
but then I come from now a place of I want to help people, and guys I used to work with in London and go, this is a completely different guy. I was all in it for me. It was like you said, go to work, make money, feel good for making money, but it wasn't. I now realise that it wasn't the money; it was what the money gave me, the ability to spend time with my family. And now I have a lot less money, but I've got boatloads of time to spend with my family, and I feel so much richer for that. You know, so my phone will be going off in a minute. Denise saying, "Where are you coming down to the office?" You know, because my wife runs our business, so I'm sort of in between. But I feel so much better for that because I see my wife and my daughter every day. I saw my son all weekend. He came up for the weekend. Otherwise, I would have been working or out entertaining customers when we were in London, and I hardly ever saw the kids, which is another reason we ended up back here because I just pulled the pin. That's another story. Martin knows that one.
Do you know, Glenn, and thanks for sharing. I can remember when I stepped into network marketing back in 2012 or 2013, and I was earning about 130 grand a year in the mining industry. And I remember the first home presentation I did, and I spoke to the people that were in the room, and I didn't even know the people in the room. They're my partner's friends that came along to find out more about it. And I just said to them, do you know what? I would rather earn a quarter of what I get paid now and be at home every day and enjoy the time with my partner, the time with my dog, and experience the life that I've got here with the people that matter to me than going and working away for this six-figure income. And I remember it's clear as day because the energy from these people is like, why would you want to do that from a point of because of the attachment to money, especially where we lived. We lived in a very it's classed as a very snobby area in Claremont. You ladies won't know about it, but it's very snobby. They are very and that was it. It was all about being seen, what you had, and so on, and the way you behaved and that. And I mean, we weren't like that at all, but we just happened to have a place there, and it was because it was 5 minutes from a really nice beach. So, but it was amazing when I think back as to how they reacted to that. But at the same time, I knew right back then that I wanted to have that quality time, especially because I had left all my family, my friends to move to a country that I didn't really know anybody here, and start a whole new life. So that understanding of connection and that understanding of being around people and having, I suppose at the time it was unknown for me, but where I was going was to understand the true power of connection outside of family, outside of my friends who I'd grown up with as a child. And that's, I can honestly say I'm very grateful and very fortunate and very lucky from that side that I have an incredible community of people that I know I can just reach out to and chat to. And some of them I've never even physically met. It's been online because of choosing to show up and share. And that, as I said before, in my top 5 values is authenticity. This is me. You know, the Greatest Showman, where they're talking about that, and I'm pretty sure everyone gets that incredible feeling, that buzz of this is me. Let me show you my truest self. If you like that, great. If you don't like that, great. But this is me. And I can't be any more than who I am in this moment right now. And that right there is where the relationships I've got are just incredible. And I'm so grateful for that, because if I didn't show up in that way, I wouldn't have them. And I think that goes right back to what we were saying earlier on around the topic of your biggest area of impact. Are we choosing to learn from everything we've experienced in our past to then bring it to who we are right now and go, biggest impact I can make is to be the best version of myself in this moment, knowing that tomorrow I'll be even better.
Nice.
So we've just gone past the hour mark now, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. So I just want to say thank you, each of you, for taking the time to jump on and share and be a part of this. I've got a lot of value. I'll be sharing my three biggest takeaways into the Your Desired Success group, and it's on. We've got another call tomorrow evening. I think for you ladies it'll probably be early hours of the morning. There's another call tomorrow, so just communicating the Your Desired Success group. Great to see you both in NG as well. So go and have yourselves a wonderful day. And if you're available, Vitala, we've got the Gold Star call afterwards as well in half an hour, if you're available.
Gold Star members. In half an hour?
Yeah, half an hour is the Gold Star Noble Goldman members call. Yeah. So if you want to jump on that, you're welcome to. Pardon?
Is that through the Gold Star website to get the link?
No, it's in the private messenger chat that I'll send it to you privately. It's okay.
It's in that same message that came out this morning, just a little bit further down. There's a different Zoom call number.
Yeah. All good. Well, go and have yourselves a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are in the world, and we will connect very soon. Bye for now.
See you soon, mate. Nice to meet you, ladies. See you later on, I'm sure.